continue to see impacts all the way through the weekend. So wanted to pop into a later YouTube live tonight and go through what we can expect over about the next 48 to 72 hours, and maybe even further than that into a look ahead into next weekend. But overall, the main focus will be really from now until Sunday morning. So we'll get started with this update here in just a moment. What I'll do is flip the camera back around while I'm getting a few things set up here behind the scenes and give you live looks across western Montana at the 9 o'clock hour. We're at a 9:11 right now, and we'll see scattered showers continuing through the night, especially along the Montana-Idaho state line, where we could be talking about travel impacts for, say, Lookout, Lolo passes into tomorrow morning, maybe even for Marias Pass up there along US 2. But overall, the travel impacts for tonight should stay on the minor side. As we get into Friday night and Saturday morning, that's when we're going to see our highest level of travel impacts. Right now, could see some moderate impacts over some of our passes, but we'll go into more detail about those here momentarily. I think everything's running here smoothly behind the scenes. Usually it is, but I always like to make sure on that before jumping in here. Let's see. There we go. Yes, it was working well. I just couldn't find the video so I could keep a close eye on the chat section. So as you're tuning in, certainly let us know where you're watching from this evening. And then, as always, if you have any questions or comments about this storm system, certainly feel free to ask those in the chat section, and I'll try and answer them as we go throughout this. So I say with that, let us get fully started into this update. Again, thank you all for tuning in on this Thursday evening. Hopefully you're having a great night, and we'll continue to have a great close to this work week. Now, we saw those temperatures this afternoon in many areas in the 40s. We've seen those temperatures now that we've gone past sunset. We're back down into the 30s for most of western Montana. 38 in Kalispell, Missoula, and Bozeman. 30 down towards Butte. We have seen a few showers on our Butte camera there from the East Ridge. That's kind of what you're seeing a bit with this haziness. There's a little bit of cloud cover that's rolling into that camera that's obscuring the view every once in a while. But overall, we are looking at relatively quiet conditions in our valley's biggest issue down in southwest Montana. Those winds, we're talking gusts up to 26 miles per hour in Bozeman, but we did see gusts much stronger than that, 35 to 45 miles per hour earlier on in the day. Now, the reason for the active weather is really this large trough of low pressure that's going to be centering over the western United States. It was all driven initially by this first storm, which is now tracking through the Four Corners region. But this next push of moisture is what's going to bring us greater impacts overnight tonight initially, but more so into late tomorrow night and into Saturday morning. And that's going to likely be associated with this piece of energy further off to the west that's still out over the Pacific Ocean. That'll slide in for tomorrow. Now, going into radar really quick, even though we aren't seeing widespread coverage of shower activity as we look over the last 3 hours, you can see kind of that west to east motion across western Montana. Spotty showers generally from Interstate 90 and north, and most of those are for areas along and west of the divide. So let me stop this and we'll go do some radar analysis, and I'll show you where the heaviest of this activity is right now. And honestly, the heaviest band is moving right along Interstate 90 back here from near the Alberton area across to Frenchtown, Evero Hill, Missoula, and then out the Highway 200 corridor. You notice this dark blue zone right across the northern side of the Missoula Valley, heading up into the Rattlesnake Mountains and then back across to the Highway 200 corridor. That could be some moderate graupel or snow that's could help to reduce visibility. I'm looking specifically over here towards Potomac, the Greeno Hill area, where we could be, seeing some briefly reduced visibility, maybe even some minor accumulations of graupel on the grassy surfaces. Down in the valleys themselves, we're still kind of in that mix, down towards the Missoula Valley. We're still in that mix of rain, snow, graupel, Just be prepared for some active weather continuing tonight. Out here towards Seeley Lake, the Bob Marshall Wilderness, out towards Lincoln. Most of, if not all of this, is snow right now, though maybe towards Seeley Lake, a little bit of graupel's trying to mix in as well. Same thing with these spotty showers back across the Mission Valley and the Highway 200 corridor. But as we zoom further out, we can see the next wave of moisture that's going to be moving in later on tonight. As you notice, it's primarily rain back into eastern Washington, and with snow levels around 4,000 feet tonight, I think we're going to continue to see that being the case. With those snow levels are actually going to be increasing overnight tonight, so our passes are going to be the biggest concerns. 4,000 to 4,500 feet overnight will lead to generally rain in the valleys with the snow up at higher elevations. And that's where we're going to see that potential for travel impacts. So going into Future Tracker really quick, we are going to see those showers on the increase, especially as we get from about midnight on. You notice how it's a little bit more condensed right along the state line. Overall, light to moderate snowfall is expected, but like I've said a couple times already, that light snowfall could lead to some travel impacts, and maybe we see those snow levels overnight tonight close enough to valley floors that we see a little bit of that light snow try and mix in with the rain and the graupel. Not expecting too much in the way of impacts down in the valleys beyond, say, wet roads and maybe a few icy spots due to the water on the roads freezing up as we get closer to sunrise. But you notice how most of the US 93 corridor stays dry. We may also be dealing with a bit of an evaporation situation with the snow coming down the mountains and evaporating, essentially just bringing us some breezier winds into tomorrow morning. Overall, I think tomorrow is going to primarily see those showers up in the mountains. I think some spotty rain showers in the valleys will be possible for the first half of tomorrow while we're waiting for that cold front to arrive. Focus will be in northwest and west central Montana. Not expecting very much down towards Butte, Dillon, Ennis, and Bozeman. Maybe even looking at partly to mostly cloudy skies in southwest Montana for tomorrow. And then we get into the afternoon, late afternoon and evening hours, and you'll notice how we're seeing more of these dark greens and yellows showing up. And that's showing the increase in moisture, the increased intensity of the precipitation that's going to be rolling into northwest Montana. And that's going to be associated with that cold front. Notice how it sort of shifts direction from kind of a west-southwest to northeast direction. And then the whole thing really just pushes west to east into northwest and west central Montana. That is that cold front that's going to bring that widespread precipitation. It does look like initially this is going to start off as rain for our valleys, with those snow levels crashing down to valley floors overnight. So we'll see that happen into Saturday morning. Could be talking about heavy snowfall, especially during this period, I think between, say, 8 and midnight tomorrow over our passes. So this is that window where Lost Trail, Lolo, Lookout, Marias passes could be seeing their worst travel conditions at late Friday night and into Saturday, just due to the heavy rates of snowfall that could be at times, say, a half an inch to an inch and a half per hour. We'll see those snow levels falling as we go into Saturday morning. Notice how we're still dealing with that mix along the US 93, Highway 200, and US 2 corridors at those lower elevations. We will likely see that transition over, I think, by early Saturday morning. Notice how those greens really start to fade away. And this is looking around, let's go with 7 a.m. tomorrow, or 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. Notice how we're seeing some of these banding features with the darker blues showing up. There is the potential for some stronger snow bands, maybe even some brief, intense snow squalls. The winds may not be quite strong enough for snow squall criteria, but with these, we could see briefly reduced visibility on the roads. You could even see, for our valleys west of the divide, a quick half-inch of accumulation from these snow bands. Better chances of heavier accumulations of just a little bit more down in the valleys of southwest Montana. But if you have any travel plans, again, Friday night into Saturday, especially for our mountain passes along and west of the divide, that's going to be the greatest concern. Those showers will continue throughout the day on Saturday. They'll be becoming a little bit more dispersed behind that initial push in southwestern Montana. This is looking at 11 a.m. This model, this newest run of the model is showing a little bit more snowfall back up to northwest and west central Montana through about midday on Saturday. That's one thing that's been a little bit different as compared to prior runs of this same model. But through the afternoon, spottier showers continue in southwest Montana. Higher elevations up across northwest, west central Montana along the divide and near it will likely continue to see scattered snow showers on Saturday. We may see back to that mix of rain, snow, and graupel for our valleys by the afternoon. But maybe as we get into Saturday evening into the overnight period, there will start to be some breaks. It's going to be a pretty quick hitting system that rolls through. Those showers continue until early Sunday morning before we really start to quiet down. Though I think by Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, here comes the next wave of moisture. So we're not completely done with all of this once this first wave goes through. We'll see one tonight, and then we'll see the stronger one with the cold front Friday night into Saturday. A little bit of a break Saturday night and into Sunday morning before Sunday afternoon and evening. Here comes the essentially fourth of the series, but third of the next ones before I think things really start to quiet down into Monday. But going into more details about how much snow we could see into at least the next couple of days, starting off, there will be enough snow likely that we've reached winter weather advisory criteria for the West Glacier region, the lower Clark Fork region, the Bitterroot and Sapphire Mountains, the Clearwater Mountains, as well as really all of southwest Montana south of Interstate 90. So this includes the Beaverhead Valley, the Madison River Valley, areas towards Monida Pass, Reynolds Pass, Targhee Pass, and northwest Beaverhead County. So we're talking places like Wisdom and over towards the Wise River area. But these all west, as I'll say this, all of these west of the Divide, those begin at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening, and these down in southwest Montana begin at midnight Friday night. But all of these will be continuing through noon on Saturday afternoon. So really, like I said, quick hitting system. Really from Friday evening to Saturday morning is going to be the peak of this storm system. Now, going into the amount of snowfall we could see with this, valleys, I think most of our valleys, we're going to be talking less than an inch, but areas from, say, the southern Bitterroot Valley over towards Butte, Bozeman, Dillon, Ennis, maybe we could see 1 to 2 inches, a few isolated locations, maybe closer to 3 inches. We're seeing that, that potential towards Bozeman, West Yellowstone, higher elevation, but about 1 to 4. I think we may actually be closer to maybe 2 to 6 towards West Yellowstone. But you see Kalispell, Missoula, Seeley Lake. In general, I think we're looking less than an inch unless you happen to get extremely lucky and under a couple of those snow bands, or a snow band sets up over your region for, say, longer than an hour, where we see those higher snowfall rates. That is the potential. But overall, not expecting too much in the way of impacts for our valleys, except for maybe these down in southwest Montana where we have those winter weather advisories. Over our mountain passes, that is a different story. As we go from now through Saturday night, I think Lost Trail Pass, we could be talking about 4 to maybe as much as 10 inches. Lolo, Lookout, Marias passes. This is going to be our zone of heaviest snowfall, as well as up here towards the Cabinet Range. We could be talking anywhere from 6 to 18 inches of snowfall. I think 10 to 18 is going to be average for most areas. But further south down towards Lolo, maybe right on the edge of that where it's closer to maybe 6 to 10. But with this snowfall, we could be talking about heavy wet snow at times, and that'll make for some slushy accumulations in certain areas, and then snow-covered roads. Also, winds are going to be a problem as well. Higher elevations especially, we're going to be looking at winds in that 25 to 45 mile per hour range continuing for the next 2 days, so Friday and Saturday. So in addition to the heavy wet accumulations of snow, we could also be talking blowing and drifting snow in certain areas, and that's a potential even in our valleys of the winds, maybe more in that 20 to 30 mile per hour range. But just be prepared. Gusty winds, heavy mountain snow, that wintry mix of rain, snow, and graupel for our valleys. is going to continue through at least Saturday, but likely we'll see that next wave moving in for Sunday. But there is going to be one difference as we head from Sunday into Monday. Snow levels will be on the increase in a quick hurry. We could be talking snow levels up to around 6,000 feet, if not higher, by the time we get into late Sunday and Monday. And the reason for that's going to be high pressure that's going to be building into the region. Now, jumping back into the winds really quick, I do want to bring this up. I forgot I had this graphic. As we go into tomorrow afternoon, let me back this up just a hair. With that cold front approaching, we could be talking winds 20 to 40 miles per hour, very similar to what we saw today, though I think maybe just a hair down, a hair lower on those wind speeds as compared to what we saw today. But then we get into Saturday, behind that cold front, I think we could be talking much the same as what we saw today, though maybe down towards Dillon. 40 to 50 mile per hour winds, and the same thing goes over here towards Lewistown and Billings. So if you have any travel plans on Interstate 90, also that dreaded section between out near Livingston that always seems to get some very strong winds, would not surprise me to see some issues as we get into Saturday. These are going to be westerly winds, so more crosswind concerns for Interstate 15, US 287, and US 191 for areas in southwest Montana. But even US 93 could be talking about some breezier winds into Saturday. But notice as we get into Sunday, those pick back up, but maybe not quite as high. We may be more in that 15 to 25 mile per hour range for most areas. A couple of gusts down to 30 miles per hour will be possible into Sunday afternoon. But if you can get past the active weather, the more winter-like weather for the next couple of days, we're going to be looking at a big-time warm-up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Temperatures in the 60s are going to be common before things start to cool back down with another storm system that looks to arrive for the end of next week and into the weekend. But overall, today may be the first day of spring, but we're dealing with more, I mean, I say it's still pretty spring-like weather for Montana, but it's more winter weather that we're dealing with for the next couple of days. But by the time we get into the middle parts of next week, it's going to be full-on spring out across western Montana. It's going to be beautiful. I know I'm going to try and go and enjoy it as best I can, but I'm also going to try and enjoy the wintry weather while we've got it for this weekend. So, again, this is going to be kind of a last chance. If you got any questions or comments, feel free to ask those. But rough breakdown of what we can expect. Few showers tonight. As we head into tomorrow, same thing, maybe some travel impacts over the passes of northwest, west central Montana tomorrow morning. Should be on the minor side, but some slick roads will be there. It's as we get into Friday night and Saturday morning, that's where we see that moderate to heavy snowfall push in with our next cold front. Temperatures will take a little bit of a dip into Saturday as well as Sunday behind that cold front. But the biggest concern over our mountain passes, Lookout, Lolo, Marias, and maybe even towards Lost Trail, will be that heavy accumulating snow, some blowing and drifting snow from those winds, 25 to 45 miles per hour. Winter weather advisories will be in effect from 6 p.m. Friday to noon on Saturday for most of our mountain areas west of the Divide. The only exceptions will be up across, say, northwestern Montana, Kootenai Cabinet region, and that area. And then we get into southwest Montana, valleys south of Interstate 90, so we're talking places like Ennis, over towards Dillon, Sheridan. Could see some lighter accumulations, about 1 to 3 inches, some minor travel impacts there, with heavier totals, maybe 7 to 14 inches up in the mountains. The snow level, for the most part, 4,000 feet and above is where we're going to see those greatest impacts. Down in the valleys, going to still be that mix of rain, snow, and graupel. But that cold front will bring those snow levels down to valley floors Friday night and into Saturday morning. So that'll do that quick little changeover. If you get under any of those snow bands, maybe a quick half an inch of accumulation will be possible. And then once we get past all of this wintry weather with the rounds, tomorrow morning, well, tonight and tomorrow morning is round 1. Round 2 will be Friday night into Saturday, and then we'll see round 3 arriving as we head into Sunday morning early and likely continuing through the afternoon. But with that one, snow levels will be rising by Monday up to 6,000 feet. And then next week, middle of the week, we're looking at beautiful conditions. Not so sure if we're going to be dealing with clouds or mostly sunshine, but overall high pressure should be the dominant feature of our weather, temperatures well above average into the upper 50s, 60s, and certainly can't rule out a few valley areas, maybe towards the Missoula and Bitterroot valleys, getting close to the 70-degree mark, if not the low 70s. So overall temperatures anywhere from maybe 15 to 25 degrees above average. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. Give us that little taste of spring, I'll say late spring, before we see those temperatures cooling back down closer to average for the end of next week. So again, thank you all for tuning in tonight. Tune into our live broadcast coming up here in 30 minutes at 10 o'clock. We'll have the latest news and weather updates. And then, of course, tune in tomorrow for the latest news updates, but also how the weather is going to impact your day, those travel impacts, and what areas are seeing those worst road conditions. So tune into NBC Montana Today with Jason Hurst and forecaster Brianna Henderson, who will be in for Chief Meteorologist Brooke Foster tomorrow morning. And if you have any photos or videos of the wind, the snow, the grapple, any of it, feel free to share those with us at nbcmontana.com/chime in. So again, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Have a great Friday. I'll likely see you on again for another I almost said Facebook Live again, YouTube Live for tomorrow evening. So stay warm, stay safe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night with NBC Montana. I'm meteorologist Mitchell Coombs.